Peace world, Substantial here. Recently, we did a workshop 2 weeks ago, and we were written by someone who had more questions. And one of the questions that she asked talked about the type of music that she made and how she's white, her partner is half black, and she has some concerns with cultural appropriation because of the type of music that they're doing, which is hip hop influence and all that. So what I'm about to read to you is my response to her, and because I feel like it's important not just for her to receive that information, which she was appreciative to receive, and that was dope, but I think it's very important for a lot of y'all to hear it too, because unfortunately, this, like as many interviews and different platforms as I'm on, I'm oftentimes not asked about this type of stuff. And so it's important that I share it with you when I can. So here it is, my response to that email. All right. I told her, we appreciate your transparency. I think it would be viewed as cultural appropriation by some, whether you release that type of music now or later. Part of the issue is that there are a lot of white artists performing black music for mostly non-black audiences, and oftentimes don't mention the black artists who inspired and or supported them. This is a big deal because some of your fans may not own or listen to music from black artists, sometimes intentionally, but they like music that is typically considered urban, which is code for black. What we suggest is that you make sure you use your platform to celebrate the black artists and black culture that inspires you. Continue to collaborate and consult with black artists / peers throughout your journey so that you can keep these conversations going. As your success grows and you are interviewed, and there may be moments where you're credited for doing something groundbreaking, original, new, use those opportunities to identify those artists who've inspired you and are often overlooked. It's your responsibility to educate the interviewer and the public that you're not necessarily doing something new. You're just giving your take on the black music which inspired you. And this is so important. We then go on to mention that I oftentimes have to do the same when I speak about my former collaborator, Nujabes, rest in peace, who was a Japanese producer who passed away. He oftentimes gets credited for sparking / creating various movements in underground hip hops like jazz, like jazzy hip hop, lo-fi, chill hop, or new jazz. And I oftentimes have to tell people over and over again that he without a doubt contributed to it. But there's a long list of black artists who inspired him, and it's irresponsible to not include them in the conversation because they were as vital to his growth and journey as he was / is to the young generation of artists coming up. Lastly, there is a great example of Bob James, who's a white legendary jazz artist, acknowledging black artists and Black Lives Matter. I highly recommend that a lot of you, if you can find it, I believe DJ Evil D posted it. I recommend that y'all check it out. But I conclude by saying we strongly recommend finding ways to do more of this type of stuff, like between the uprisings and protests. Consistency is key. It shows your black counterparts and potentially your black audience that you are a true ally. All right. I appreciate the fact that she even asked us what she thought, what we thought of potential cultural appropriation on her part. Her willingness to be open about that is very important. It creates dialogue. These are necessary conversations. And this is so important because, when we talk about Black Lives Matter, a lot of times the conversation is very much, as it should be, focused on police brutality. But it's important to understand that this is only part of what we deal with as a people. Part of the problem as well is the fact that we are literally being written out of history. We are our contributions to the world, whether we're talking about music, art, engineering, war, whatever, oftentimes are written out of certain school curriculums, And we're just not involved in the conversation, as if we haven't contributed anything. And things like that make it extremely easy to not value our lives, because it comes across as if we haven't contributed anything when we contributed damn near everything, right? So when we talk about black music, or we talk about American music in particular, you can't talk about American music without talking about black musicians, because almost every type of American music started and was originated by black artists. And so it's important, it's very important, that we acknowledge the people who came before us and who contributed to this and inspired so many. So that's all I wanted to share with y'all, man. Thank you so much. I love y'all very much. Y'all be safe out here. And, Black Lives Matter today, every day, forever. All right. Peace to you and yours.